Hi guys, welcome back to Mama SOJ vlog. How you guys doing? If you are new here, you are welcome, and if you are returning subscriber, God bless you as you always come back to watch my video. My people not be smart, you know, and I'm not seeing a different news now they land from my table. And as the news they come, that's why they carry and come here to come share and with honor. For today's video, I'm going to watch out together with honor. All right, my people, we could go watch the video to see what really the apple for inside the video, my people.
I remember when we want to talk about even 2007 or going down to the election that brought the return of the democratic rule in Nigeria, you know, a lot of people were used to ballot snatching, you know, on the way, and then they do thumb printing and so on and so forth. And so many of my friends will not go for voting. And the reasons why they are not going is because they feel their votes don't count. And a friend of mine would say, you know, why do I have to vote when my vote has already been counted? And when we go out of the country, you know, a lot of gist about us to say Nigerians, you know, their votes are counted before the voting itself. And so, but with the upsurge of technology, little by little, with the coming of Inec introduced the card reader, and from the card reader, we now have the beavers, and from the beavers itself, you know, came on, and it was used in Edo before even Anambra. It was used in Anambra, and then the major elections, it was used in FCT, but FCT doesn't have a governor. So sometimes the gravity of voting is seen when you have the leadership of the state being voted for. And so it was used in Ekiti, and then Oshun. And like the analysts here, you know, in your studio also brought out, is that, you know, we had high hopes. People started to believe again. And I think when they saw that happen, and after the primaries, and you had also the emergence of a Labour Party, that's the disagreement that had in PDP, and then the emergence of Peter Obi, and the third force, the younger people looking at, okay, I think we can go through peaceful, you know, transition in terms of if votes will count with the beavers. And the way it was used brought hope again to Nigerians. And then we were going into the 2023 national, you know, the presidential and National Assembly election with the hopes, with the whole of the 2023 general election, that technology will be the game changer, and the promises that were done by Inec. And so the young people, during the continuous voter registration process, the young people looked at it, they said, if my votes will count, then I have to go. They were on Twitter. There was a Twitter storm about the young people going to vote again. And we said, there is no voting that is happening on Twitter. Voting is happening on ground. You got to get your PVC. And so we had a storm. If you go to Tafawa Balewa Square, with the continuous voter registration, you see a lot of registration going on. Inec responded by bringing so many machines into Tafawa Balewa Square and so many other environments. Some people still feel denied today because they wanted to be part of this election, because they're beginning to believe again. And for us in the civil society, we were quite excited because it means they are beginning to trust the system again. There is a trust deficit in the whole of the system, in governance in Nigeria, you know, and so people were beginning to believe, and they were going in. And that's why we were calling for the extension of the continuous voter registration, because more than 10 million Nigerians were unable to complete their registration. And what Inec quickly will tell you is people were supposed to have been registered. It continued for 1 year. People were careless about it. Many months, you had nobody at the station trying to register. And so why now at the last minute? Because that's what Nigeria used to do. But when you come back to it, you said they were not trusting. And we were communicating with INEC then that the fact that they want to register, they want their PVCs, it means you should encourage them, because they're beginning to believe in you. And so, and now this is a generation of technology where a lot of young people are involved in looking at what is happening, and they are going in for this election. And so many young people collected their PVCs. So many people were denied because of suppression also in some quarters, while a number of enthusiastic Nigerians went to collect their PVCs. Many of them marched to the polling unit on the 25th of February to go and collect their, to go and cast their votes. Many of them did not cast their votes. I think that enthusiasm and then the performance of the IREP portal, the fact that you were able to upload the National Assembly elections and you were not able to upload the presidential election is like, is this a joke? Is this a joke with ourselves? And so many things went wrong with that election. And that's why the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room says the presidential election, presidential and National Assembly election lacked credibility. And that's why we're saying with this election now, the Nigerian police and the security system ought to have. And you know, one of the good things that the synergy in terms of the security environment, we have the numbers for the Nigerian army. We have the numbers for the Nigerian police. We have the numbers for other security agencies. What is going on here is the police thinking that they are enough and so they are not calling for help. Because at that environment, there is no way that you have battalions in Lagos that they could not have secured all of the hotspots in Lagos. And if it is so hard for them, and that's what I'm saying, that if you think that that election is beyond the security agencies, we should have a report from the CP of police, and you see them transferring. Frank Mba was in Lagos. He was transferred to Ogun. And then you have so many transfers. We have had that in the past where you see a CP that understands the environment. You transfer that CP and you give the state to another person who doesn't understand the environment, and you want high performance. And maybe they understand the environment, but you put people that can be compromised. Because in this environment, how can you not say something that has been, because earlier in the day we reported, there was a report of the attack for Channel Television crew, and now we have Arise, and how many more that we have not heard of? And how many people cannot get their stories out? And who has the responsibility? We have to hold some people accountable because they are meant to take decisions to protect lives and property, and they should be held accountable. We have Kwande local government in Benue. We are hearing that the reports reaching us that no election is holding in that environment because the voting materials were taken to another environment. I hope that Inec is listening to this and knowing that no election is going on, and our observers are on ground and say no election is going on in that local government. Are there other local governments across the country where election is not holding? These are the accountabilities. But what is going on with the journalists right now? Some people have to be held accountable. All the hotspots are known to the security agencies, and they ought to have prepared. We saw what happened in Lagos, on the 25th of February. Certain things should not happen again, and this should not happen. Well, let's not shed blood, where blood should not be shed, and no blood should be shed at all in an election. And we are trying to deepen democracy. We hope that before this evening, we will see more uploads. So a lot of upload was being done, but whether is a real transparent election, because that's it now. Look at the blood of a journalist being shed because they want to cover. Because we're receiving reports as well of some of the polling units, the papers being set ablaze. Reports are coming into us in the situation room now that, because this is when they are counting, and when they know that someone, if party supporters of another party and so on and so forth, if you are not protecting, because it's not only protecting people to vote, let the votes be counted. It is at the end of the counting of the votes that the results are posted. And the reports reaching us is that some of the places are being set ablaze.
Now, Victor, I'd like to take you back to the prospects for cancellation of votes, especially in conflict areas. And we're seeing such scenarios in this regard. How does that impact overall on the elections? And how does that give credibility? If you remember, sometime in 2019, the Osun elections, I think 2 or 3 local governments were the decider. They had issues. At the end of the day, it was extended for like a week. And that was the period whereby you had all these political parties trying to court and gain a majority, as it were. But at the end of the day, we had the elections. But it was delayed for 1 week. Now, in this scenario here, people are being denied their votes. If you take ballot boxes and you take them away and, you manipulate the scenarios and or the attacks, as it were, how do we, take care of all of these issues?
We, under no circumstances, if you ask me, should any election be cancelled. I'd rather that there's a revote, if it's, I don't know if my language is correct, but that election takes place again. Because, note, it's a strategy.
But wouldn't the electorate itself be wary
No,
of
that's,
that?
I was coming to that.
Because that's, in fact, there were issues of apathy at some point.
It's a strategy.
Yeah.
You see the stronghold of your opponent. What you do is you do whatever it is to disrupt that system and then take away and all that. Two things are likely to happen. It can be cancelled, which will work in your favor, or even if it's held again, then apathy comes in, which means the numbers are reduced because it's from a stronghold. Either way, that is a strategy to whittle down the impact of the votes from that particular place. And, if you cancel it, you have disenfranchised people. It's not fair because it's not their fault. You cannot reward bad behavior. You can't reward the hoodlums because the objective is clear. The election was, no, we don't want votes from that area. We cannot reward that. Okay? We cannot also reward the politicians who would have, sent them to do this. It's only fair that people who have come out to vote, even if they're 3 or 4, protect them and make sure that their votes count. Every single one. It's the only voice you have. We may not be able to influence anything else, but that is the one voice that we have, that singular vote. In fact, in some, like people, for instance, become citizens of other countries, whether Canada, the US, their happiest day, apart from the day when they get sworn in, is the day they cast. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, finally, I'm able to vote.
The power is within my grasp.
Exactly. You know what it means? The fact that you can decide, that you can speak. You can't put a price. You may take it for granted here. But in places where they don't have democracy, they know how important that is. But we have it here, we can't take it for granted. And I will repeat, we must not reward bad behavior. There must be consequences for it.
All right. There must be consequences, you say, for bad behavior.
Yes.
But let's see crossover to Abuja and speak with them. And I would like to find out from you, because we look at these things, and throughout the course of the day, throughout the course of Arise coverage from different points here in Nigeria, one thing seems to ring true: voter apathy. And some say that political analysts say you can't be surprised that the people that turn out usually for governorship elections are fewer than the people that actually turn out for presidential elections. How can we address this issue? And what can be done to ensure that we have more people come out for governorship elections, knowing that this is an election closer to you than that of the presidential elections?
You pointed out earlier, one of the questions that you asked was on the issue of votes counting. When you know that you are going to vote and your vote will not count, how do you get motivated to go and vote? People had high hopes during the February 25th election, presidential and National Assembly election. People went with hopes. And so if you showed them that their votes counted, and votes counted in the National Assembly election, but the presidential election, they did not see how their votes counted. And then there were so many people who deliberately were turned down from voting. One was, we cannot say deliberate in terms of logistics, because if you want to compare the issue of logistics between the presidential election and then going to the governorship election, you see a huge difference. Deployment was done, for this election, deployment started on Wednesday. But the deployment of the presidential election, which was big because you are choosing the head of the country. That is the overall boss for the workers in the country. And then they went into that. It's like a balloon. You deflated everybody. Some people went into depression, I can tell you that. Not because of who wins or who won or who will win, but the fact that the process was not.
My people, now the video now on a new watch finish so. And I see what you happen for inside the video. Alright, my people, I would like to end the video for you. Make sure let me know what you all take for the comment section. And if you never subscribe, make sure subscribe so that you will not miss any latest way I upload. On my battle like all I will last time. Bye guys, catch my next video. Bye guys.